Hey Internet, hey YouTube. We are talking about a hidden mechanic in Monster Train. If you've been playing Monster Train for a long time, you probably already know about this hidden mechanic, but for a lot of new players, one of the most important things in the game does not tell you about. So what is this secret hidden mechanic? Is it the secret path from Limbo directly to Seraph? No, we won't talk about that. It's still only for elite players. No, we're talking about something different. We're talking about priority units. Priority units, okay? So you may not know this, especially if you're new. There are different kinds of units in the game, and they are not all equal. There are standard common units, and then there are uncommon and rare units. And uncommon and rare units have this unique trait that is not on the page. If you go into the logbook, for example, you will see nothing about this on any of the units. There's no special thing that you see saying, hey, these are priority units. So what are priority units? Priority units are units that you get from a unit draft or from a unit draft during... So you get a unit from a unit draft like one of these, the flags, a banner. You can also get it from rings 3 or ring 3 from this case Daedalus, but also from Talos. You can get a draft unit. You can also get draft units as part of a trial reward. And these differ from other kinds of units. These are the drafts that are exclusively units. So what is special about them? What there is the special mechanic they built into Monster Train. They realized that the game is highly dependent on getting your units out early, and so they gave certain units this priority tag. What this means is, in your first draw, you are guaranteed to get at least one priority unit. And the way the game works is it will look for a priority unit, it will randomly pick a priority unit, and then the rest of your draws will be random for that hand. So what that means is you could get more than one priority unit, but you are guaranteed at least one. It's not always going to be the same one. It'll be different every fight if you have more than one priority unit, but you're guaranteed to get at least one. And then on your next turn, if you haven't gone through your deck again, it will check through the remaining cards in your deck, and if any of them are priority units, it will randomly select one and you will automatically draw it in your next hand. And this will continue. You will continue to automatically draw priority units every turn until all priority units have been drawn at least once. Once they have been drawn, they lose the priority unit tag and your draws are completely randomized. So again, starting at your first hand, you will always get your champion if you're playing with a champion. If you don't have no champion, no problem as your mutator. You will always get your champion. You will always get one priority unit. And every subsequent draw, you will continue to draw at least one priority unit until you've drawn all of your priority units at least once. Okay? So that's the mechanic. And again, the game doesn't tell you this. It's just something that happens in the background. And what we're going to do in this video is talk about what does that mean in terms of implications. Because it's all about the implication. It's really, how do you plan around this mechanic? How do you draft around this mechanic? And I'll use some examples in the runs that I'm playing today to show off different moments when you need to consider, how does this affect my priority unit draw? And does that mean I should or should not take a unit in this case? Okay, so here we have a good example. We have a trial that's going to allow us to get a unit draft, and these unit drafts are guaranteed to include priority units. So all units that will come in this unit draft will be a priority unit. So we'll play the battle out, and then we'll check back and see what units do we get, and I'll talk about a little bit why one unit might be preferable to another simply because of this priority tag. Okay, so we just finished the fight, and you'll see here we have this unit draft coming up. I'll just quickly grab a couple of other units, and this is one thing I should specify. So drafts are not priority units. They are one of the units that is going to come out of a standard draft. Let me rephrase that. It's a unit that will come out of a standard draft, not a unit draft. And with one exception only, drafts that come out of standard drafts are not priority units. So draft, train steward, imps, none of these units that you're going to find with other spells in card packs, these are not going to be priority units. They will not have this kind of special priority tag where they show up on your first draw, which is important. If you have something like a draft and it's critical to your build, you need to consider, hey, it's not a priority draft. I have to either thin the deck or I have to be able to survive until the draft shows up. Here, I think given this build, we'll just take a Hallowed Drippings and an Offering Token. Okay, so now all three of these units, they come as priority. So they all will have a priority tag. And so now the question is, I am at the beginning of my run. I need to pick a unit that I believe will be able to carry me through most of the game, and I am guaranteed to draw this unit in my opening hand. So let's consider our deck. We have a Burn Bright Rector Flicker. That's going to be a very, very thick, heavy damage unit that's going to be on the front line. There's a large incentive here to play one of two things. Either something that's going to do a lot of damage to a second unit, so I kind of expect Rector Flicker is probably going to kill the first unit, and then my priority draw could be one that I use the second unit. That would be Nameless Siren, for example, maybe Wickless Baron. These would both be good units to act as my kind of secondary damage after my Rector Flicker. The alternative could be, hey, Rector Flicker is really good at hitting the front unit, but I really need something that can hit the back line. In that case, Titan Sentry would be my priority. If I consider the rest of my deck, I have a lot of frontline damage. I have a lot of ways to deal with the front line. I don't really have very good AoE. So even though, all these units might be really good, for me, having a priority being, I need something that can deal with the backline. I have no spells that can deal with the backline. I have no targeted damage. I'm going to take the Titan Sentry. Maybe it's not the best unit in the game, but it's going to be the best unit for my build right now. And that priority tag guarantees that Titan Sentry will show up in my opening hand. So I will have in my opening hand a way to deal with the backline and a way to deal with the front line in my Rector Flicker. So, very good. We'll take Titan Sentry. So, we not only got our recent unit, we also now have a second banner, a Stygian Banner. And here, again, we need to discuss what would be the impact of taking a second unit. So, we have two Sirens, both fantastic units. We even have a decent deck for incanting because we have a lot of foregone powers, we have offering tokens, and we have crypt builders. All of that's going to be really good for incanting. But we need to also consider what would be the impact on our build if we take one of these two units. Well, again, one of the things this deck is going to be in need of is backline damage. Neither of these units provide backline damage. That doesn't mean we don't take one, but we need to consider, is the benefit of taking one of these units more valuable than the loss of guaranteeing Titan Sentry in our opening hand? Because again, if you only have one priority unit, you are guaranteed to draw it in your opening hand. In this case, I actually think either Siren of the Sea or Nameless Siren would be quite good. However, because we're dealing with Seraph the Chaste, Siren of the Sea is definitely going to be much stronger. I'm going to take it, and now I have to kind of modify my strategy, right? Knowing that I just took a second priority unit, I need to plan that there will be times I need to play Titan Sentry not on the bottom floor or maybe on the middle floor. If I can think, okay, I need to be able to play so that Titan Sentry is always killing the backliners before they reach my other floors, that's fine. But I probably can't take too many more priority units. If I take a third one, that means Titan Sentry is going to have to be maybe in the top floor, and that's starting to get a little scary. Oftentimes with Titan Sentry, you need all of the floors to do frostbite damage in order to kill the backliners, especially backliners that have 10 or more health, which we're going to get with Chaste. So, or maybe not with Chaste, but with other floor or other rings we're going to get to. So we'll take it now, but we need to be very cautious taking any more priority units, because that's going to make it more difficult for us to get our Titan Sentry, which is very critical to our build right now. It's the only source of backline damage. Okay, so we're now into our second ring fight, and we're looking at a trial here. Enemies start on each floor. Now, if we wanted to, for example, guarantee that this type of trial was not going to hurt the pyre, we would just take the one priority unit, we would take our Titan Sentry, which we selected earlier, and that would be it. Because then we could guarantee, even with a trial like this, we could play Titan Sentry in the top floor, and we would never take pyre damage. Now, that's not the case, so we have to consider, are we okay taking this pyre damage, knowing that there is a 50% chance, maybe slightly less than 50% chance, because you could draw both in the opening hand, but let's say, for simplicity, a 50% chance that we don't get Titan Sentry. Are we okay taking the damage? In this case, I am. It's very early. We haven't taken any pyre damage. Damage is totally fine. But imagine if you had already taken some damage on ring 1, this 50% chance might not be worth it. And you might say, hey, I know that I might end up drawing Siren of the Sea on the opening hand. I really can't afford to take this trial. I'm going to skip it. These are the kind of considerations that you can think about if you keep in mind how priority units work. So there's a 50% chance I could draw it. 50% chance I could miss it. Am I okay with the chance that I might miss it? In this case, totally fine. We'll take the trial and move on. Okay, so as you can see, we did end up drawing Titan Sentry as our priority unit. So we already have some intel over what's going to happen in the next turn, right? We already know, because we have no way to draw right now, we know that we are guaranteed to get our Siren in the next turn. It's guaranteed. We will draw her because we have no other draw and she's the only remaining priority unit left in the deck. So we can kind of plan around that. We can say, okay, how do we want to set up here? Well, the way that I like to set up with a setup like this, I would like to take no pyre damage. So the easiest way to take no pyre damage, we play our Titan Sentry up top. The other thing to consider, and this is something that Narninian just mentioned in chat if you're watching chat on the stream, but it's very important to note, I am not guaranteed. Now, in this case, I'm lucky. I started with Hallow Drippings, but imagine I didn't. I'm not guaranteed to draw a burnout spell because I know at least one of my draws next turn is going to be Siren of the Sea. And that's going to make it a little bit slower to get to my Wicklashes or potentially to have gotten to my Hallow Drippings. In this case, we got very fortunate. We get to start with it. But that might mean, hey, I already know I'm going to lose my Rector Flicker, or there's a chance I could lose him. I need to play around this idea, and by doing that, I would maybe play him on the bottom floor, let him do some work, and then not worry about it for the rest of the run. Okay, so just like we had discussed, we just finished the last fight or last round, and sure enough, Siren of the Sea got drawn at the top of your hand, and that's because Siren of the Sea still has that priority tag. If I don't play her right now, and put her in, so let's say I don't play her, I decide to hold her for a while, she will lose the priority tag for the rest of this battle. So the next time, if I go through my entire deck, she will not be automatically drawn. She loses the tag the moment she's been drawn. So again, they only get priority tag the first time you've drawn them, and then they lose it, and they're now just a random card that can get drawn like all the rest. But for now, because she had the priority tag, she was drawn, put at the top of the deck, and this continues until you run out of priority units. In this case, we're going to go left path here. We're going to try to improve our priority units we already have. And this is, we're not talking about this as a main thing, but in general, Monster Train is built around having a couple of really strong advantages and going all in on them. So here, it's much better for us to go all in on this Siren than to get 3 or 4 Sirens. We're pooling all of our resources into fewer units to take advantage of the fact that we don't have so many draws. We can still get that same advantage. It's like if we put a multi-strike on another Siren, but we pool it into one unit so that we get all of that value out of one draw. Consolidating value into fewer draws is a big part of what makes decks go from being pretty good to being very consistent and very strong. Okay, so we just finished the fight with Daedalus, and now we're offered another priority unit draw. And again, we have to ask ourselves, what is the value that any one of these units would bring to the deck, and does it justify slowing down our overall draw of incant units? So what do we have? We have Legion of Wax, we have Offering Monument, we have Nameless Siren. So let's start off, easiest one, Nameless Siren. Does Nameless Siren make sense in this deck? Not really, because of the Chaste. We are slowing down Nameless Siren's scaling. And if we wanted another Siren, rather than taking the Nameless Siren, it would make a lot more sense for us to just duplicate our Siren of the Sea, which is going to not be affected by Seraph the Chaste, and which has already a bunch of upgrades on it, right? That's another thing to consider is another reason why I often don't take later draft units is I would prefer to duplicate a draft unit I've already invested in because I get all of that investment when you duplicate it. You get all the stones. So certainly a double multi-striking strength stone Siren of the Sea is going to be stronger than a Nameless Siren. So we can just kind of scratch that one out. Second is Legion of Wax. The Legion of Wax is a pretty good unit, but it's a pretty big investment. You're going to have to put at least a couple stones in it because at base it's not very strong. And what does it fit? It fits kind of a tank. Potentially, if you can have the right other cards, it can work really well as a way to just dump a ton of units on a single floor. So like Harvest would be really good or anything like that. But in this case, it doesn't really fit. We don't have any Harvest in the deck, right? So there's no value there. We already have a decent tank in our Burn Bright Rector Flicker. And, you know, we don't really need to fill up a floor for no reason. There's no value in just having a bunch of, 8/8 bodies on a floor. So we can scratch out Legion of Wax. Last question is Offering Monument. So Offering Monument adds a draw mechanic. This is a kind of double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's really good if we want to scale the Siren of the Sea very quickly. As well, it's a way to get to other priority units much faster. So it could be a way that we play Offering Monument, we play a bunch of spells to draw a bunch of cards, and one of those cards might actually be another priority unit. So it could be that we use it to get to Titan Sentry, or we use it to get to Siren of the Sea. Certainly one of the better picks we could have here. The one thing to consider with Offering Monument is you have one cost to play Offering Monument, and then if any other things you play cost Ember, and you draw a priority unit, and you can't play the priority unit, then you have a problem. So I like the idea of taking Offering Monument. I'll probably take it here, but I need to always make sure that before all of my priority units have been drawn, I have to have at least one Ember. If I ever get to 0 Ember, I cannot incant on that floor, or there's a chance that I'll draw a priority unit that I can't play, and then I won't see it all the way until the next time I draw my hand. So we'll take it. I think it's worth taking. I think it's a great way to scale the Siren very early and get a lot of damage, but it comes with that risk that if we don't play it right, we might end up drawing a priority unit that we can't play immediately. Okay, so we made it into the situation like I described. We have our Offering Monument as our first turn draw, and we need to find a way to either get to a priority unit or make use out of the Offering Monument so that we didn't sacrifice early plays just to get a unit that isn't going to add value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to incant, but I'm going to be very careful to not incant too much so that if we draw a priority unit, we can still play it. We'll be very careful here. We'll play Offering Monument together with Rector Flicker. We'll Wicklash Rector Flicker. That's one draw. I can do a Memories of the Melted. I don't really need this here for a second draw. And I can do a third draw. Okay, that's fine. We already got through a couple of spells. We'll play, I don't know, some other units down to the bottom, and then we'll continue. Okay, so now we got our two other priority units. We'll play our Titan Sentry. We'll play our Siren of the Sea. Get rid of some garbage, and then continue. And now we can take advantage of this third priority unit by getting a whole bunch of incants immediately onto the Siren of the Sea. Start playing things like Offering Token into Offering Token. I'll get rid of a Dreg here. We can play the Wicklash. We can even play it on her because we already have the Hallow Drippings. And then we can also play a Molded here as our last spell. Bring back a Dreg. And then I'm even okay here. I don't think we need a Wilkins Rail Spike for its draw value. I'm just going to play it out. And we use the Offering Monument now to generate a whole bunch of incants very quickly onto Siren of the Sea, which was my concern, right? My concern was, can we get enough quick damage onto Siren of the Sea that she'll kill all frontliners? Now it's guaranteed. We should be absolutely set for the rest of the fight. All right, so we just finished our Ring 4 fight, and we got offered a Guardian Stone. Now, Guardian Stone, again, came in a standard clan pack, which means that it's not a priority unit. So we can consider taking this will not slow down any of our priority unit draws, which means there's a little bit less of a risk of taking this because it doesn't affect whether we get Titan Sentry or our Siren of the Sea. It also fits quite nicely. One of the things we don't have is scaling sustain. We have scaling damage. We have mild scaling sustain on the Siren of the Sea, but this would ramp up the scaling sustain on both the Rector Flicker itself and the Siren of the Sea. The other nice thing would be once Offering Monument leaves, we have that one extra capacity slot to fill with something. And I think it makes a lot of sense. We fill it with a Guardian Stone, we get a lot of value out of it. So we're going to go ahead and take this Guardian Stone. But again, this is not a priority unit because it came from a standard pack. There is only one exception. There's one exception to this rule. The one exception is Bounty Stalker. Bounty Stalker only shows up in clan packs, and it is still a priority unit. So even though there's this rule, right, it's only drafts, there is the one exception. Bounty Stalker is the exception. It is still a priority unit, although it shows up in a clan pack. Every other case, if it shows up in a clan pack, it's not a priority unit. If it shows up in a standard draft pack, unit draft pack, then it is a priority unit. Okay, so we're going to take the Guardian Stone. Okay, so we're going to start the Seraph fight, and we're going to have a little quiz. Think to yourself, look through the deck, look at all of our units. What are our 3 priority units? Do you remember? If you said these 3 on the screen, you were correct. These are the 3 units that we got out of unit drafts. So these are our 3 guaranteed priority units. We're guaranteed to draw one of them. We might get more than one, but we're guaranteed to draw at least one. And on our second turn, if we haven't drawn all of them yet, we will draw a second one. So we can start the fight. We can see what will be our first priority unit. Our first one was Titan Sentry. This means that we are guaranteed next turn to draw either Siren of the Sea or Offering Monument. Now we're going to play Titan Sentry in the bottom. That was the whole purpose of getting him as a priority unit, is that he is our backline clear. And he's going to do one great job, as well as getting a ton of Frostbite temporarily onto Seraph. We're going to kill a whole bunch of units here. We're going to play on the second floor because we know we need 5 capacity. And now we'll play Offering Token, and there is a chance that we draw another priority unit, but it's not guaranteed. We'll play our 2 drags at the bottom. We're going to keep our molded here because we have a really good chance of drawing our Offering Token, and this would be one more incant to help us get to the Siren faster, because we're going to need the Siren in order to kill this Darkwing. Well, actually, no, we don't. Rector Flicker is going to be fine on his own, but it would still be good to get the Siren as soon as possible. Okay, we got the Siren, but we don't have the Offering Monument yet. So what I really like here is we can play Siren of the Sea. We start with Offering Token. There's a chance now we draw. We didn't draw her, or draw it. We could also play Wicklash into Awoken's Rail Spike, and there's another chance that we'll draw the Offering Token. And if we do, we would like to have Wicklash in our hand, so I'm going to play it now. We did end up drawing Offering Monument. And now we can go nuts. Play this, play this, play this. Also, we triggered Hell's Banners, which is pretty sick. You can go up top. Play this. We have the Guardian Stone. We can't play it yet. But we are going to be able to incant a lot here. What's also really sick is that Deep Offering is going to get rid of or trigger Crypt Builder here. We can continue to play our free spells. We now have Guardian Stone again, and we're getting ever closer. You can see now, this is all we're ever going to draw, is just these 2. And we can do this forever. This is why I thinned the deck out. Look at this. I guess we could also do this. Now we can play Guardian Stone. Do that combo a few more times just to really rub it into Seraph's face. Hey, 5 times is 5 times. We could even bring back the Offering Monument if we want, and then play it like this. And we ended up the second turn. This is the second turn of the round with 153 by 3 damage on Siren of the Sea. And 24 burnout on her. And 12 burnout on Rector Flicker. Pretty good. Hopefully this guide was useful for you, giving you a kind of example of how to set it up. This is a really good run, I think, to showcase how important it is to consider the priority unit mechanic, this hidden mechanic the game doesn't tell you about, to try to get the most value out of your units. Plan around the draws, plan around the priority draw for those units, and use it to do a really, really solid job, and eventually beat Seraph. So good luck in your runs. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe, check out the other guide videos, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.